So, hello everyone. Welcome back to the another session. Today I will be taking you through the Workato data tables and storage. How do we do the table storage? Okay. So, guys, like when we are working on Workato workflow apps, and when we create a no-code, low-code solution, and then we want to store the data somewhere, right? So, how we can store the data? That's a kind of a crucial part because you have to play around the data while you just go and capture the inputs and save the data, and then you can go and create the recipe, and then you can just push the data some other systems and everything, right? So to do that, like Workato has enabled something where you can just go and create the data, create the tables, and you can store the data. So let me show you something what exactly this means, like workflow apps. And in the workflow apps, we have something called table storage. And then what exactly this table storage means to, this is something like the purpose of table storage is to store the structured data, right? And the main component of table storage is data tables. And data tables is nothing, I can say it's a kind of entity where you can create your entity, and then you can create your columns, then you can define your types of the columns and everything. And then every apps is connected with one table storage, which is called data tables. And then the moment you can capture the data, you will store the data into data tables, right? So we will see how we can create the table storage like data tables, and what all our features are enabled for data tables, right? And then one more important thing, these data tables do not are not meant to store any kind of confidential or any kind of in credit card details, or maybe you can say highly confidential data, because this is just a kind of a flat, and you can store the data, structured data and everything, right? And there are key terms, like few of the columns which are auto generated, and we will see how we start with the data tables, right? So let's go to my project here. I have created my project Arvind workspace. So the moment you go here, what you can do, you can go into create, and then you have options. Like you can create a data tables. And then the moment you select data tables, the basically this will ask you to start building, and then you need to give the name of the data table. So let's say I am just giving name. I can say like HR management, right? And then I can select the location, where do you want to store, and I've selected the location, and then you say start building. The moment you say start building, and then it comes here, and then here is your HR management data table. You can, if you want to change, you can change also, and you can save it. So by default, guys, there are 3 hidden columns. Let me show you what are the hidden columns. So the hidden columns are record ID, which is auto-generated ID, which you can use for update the record, delete the record, or maybe you can say get the records later stage into recipe or anything. And then we have something called created time, and then last modified time. So created time will tell you like when this record has been created, and last modified time will tell you when this has been modified. So by selecting this, you can enable the columns down. See here, the moment I selected, the columns got enabled, right? And then if you want to hide these columns, you can go and select and hide this. Now, what you can do, how to add the columns, and what are the types of columns supported into these data tables, right? So the moment you select add columns, it will tell you the columns name, and then you can, these all are mandatory, and this should be unique. So you can define the column name, and then what should be column type. So you can select the column type, and you can say there are certain column types, like you can select short text, long text, integer, decimal, boolean, date, time, file, and link to table. So what is this link to a table? Link to a table, like you can make a relationship between 2 tables, and you can link with another table. So maybe you can say this is a kind of lookup, and you can say this is kind of foreign key relationship. So create a table, and you can make a reference to the other tables. Like I can say there is a HR management system, and in HR management system we can reference with employee tables, and then we can reference with another tables, right? So that's what it is. So let's say in HR management table, I can say the first name of HR, first name, right? And then you can select the columns. What columns? Based by default, this columns always selected short text. And then you can say short text, and then you can pass the default value, and then you can set the hint also, what exactly show into the hint, right? And then you can set required or not required by just enabling this. Let's say this is required. So I can say first name, right? Now the questions come how to add another column. So what you can do, you can click here and then you can say insert columns left, right, and all those things. So do you want to do that? You can just do that. Otherwise, what you can do, keep adding the columns here, and you can just say last name and then short text, and you can make it a required. And then one more. So now you have seen there are two way of adding the columns. Either you can just click or three clicks button, and then you can insert the columns left, right. Otherwise, you can click on the plus icon and then add the button. And the third one, what you have directly, you can say Control I. The moment you say Control I, the shortcut form, you can create the columns here. So you can say date of birth, right? So date of birth, and then you can change the date, and then you can set as required or not, right? So this is date of birth. Then similarly, I can say Control I, then I can say location, right? And then I can say long text, and then you can add the columns. Now, one more important, I want to reference, like I want to make a relationship between another column. I want to make a lookup of this column. So what I can do, I can say, let's go here. I can say the link to a table. The moment you select link to a table, it will tell you what link, right? So it will give you all the table, you can say data table, which are under this project, right? Because this will always link with a particular project. So what you can do, select this particular project. So I can say type, and then here I can say type, right? And then link to table type, what exactly you want to display. So you can select from the type table label. So you want to display label here, and then you can just you can say type, and then you can select link to a table, and then you can select type here, and then I can select label, and then I can click create columns, right? So now it got created here, right? Just a second, guys. So the moment I select here, let's say here, 1 second. Type, and I can say link to table, and then type label, and then I can say create columns. So it got created. Okay. Now you want to show right here. You can select the types and everything. Otherwise, you can just go here and just left click, insert column left, and then here I can say type, because here I'm getting some problem. So let's go and create again link to table, and then I can say type request. Can say give the name, and then you can say the label, and then I can say add column. So now you can say type request has created here. Okay. So this has been created. Now how to add the records here? So now if you want to add a record, what can you do? You can just go here and shift enter to add a record. Otherwise, you just click here, and then you can select the type, right? And then just you can no matching found. You can say Arvind, and then I can say Omar. Just you can say tab, and it will just enables everything. And then you can say Pune, and then moment you can say hit enter. Just save this. So now you can see one record has been created, and these are auto generators. So similarly, I can go and say I want to add one more here. So I can say demo Pune, and then I can say today, and location I can say Bangalore, and then I can save this. So now you can see I have two records, right? And if you want to show the record ID, just the moment I selected the record ID, you can see the record ID, which is auto-generated ID. So guys, you can create it. Now, suppose you want to delete this record. So what you can do, you can go and select the checkbox, and then you can say delete this. The moment, let me go and delete one record. The moment I select it and I said delete, then it say ask for a confirmation. Do you want to delete it permanently? You can delete this record, right? Now, suppose I want to edit this. So what you need to do, you just select this and double click and then just edit this record. And then you can change it. And then you can just save it, right? So now you can say one record has been created and everything. So now let's go to this document and see what exactly. So we have seen the table, data table permission, which you can add through the recipe. You can do a granular level of permissions and everything. We have seen create a new columns, so that there are multiple way to creating a columns. Either you can create a plus, or you can say Control I for window, and for Mac Command I, and then you can directly click it. Otherwise, you can say here 3 dot icons, and you can create the columns left and right. And then similarly, if you want to edit the columns, so what you can do, you can just go and click on these 3 dot icons and then edit attributes. So what you can do, you can edit the attributes of the data tables. So we looked at the edit columns, which is edit attributes. So how to edit the attributes, you can just go and get. So you can see the delete a column. So that if you want to delete a columns here, let's say I have added this just a column 1, and now I want to delete this. So what you need to do, go here and click on this 3 dot ellipse and then say delete columns, and then delete the columns. That's it. So now you can see this delete the columns. What are the column types? So we have different column types, which I showed you: short text, long text, integer, decimals, and then boolean, date, time, file. And guys, file has maximum 100 MB size, maximum file size. And then you can link to a table, and then link to a data table and display data table from, right? And available operates, like we have these all operations, right? Then we need to see one of the important things, which is something called view, filter, and sort table. So in this data table, what you can do, you can add a filter also. So if you want to add a filter, you can select the particular name and then you can give the value. And then you can similarly, you can say select first name, I can say Arvind, and then give this one. Similarly, you can select last name and you can give this one, right? So basically what happened, this filter always works into end operation. It doesn't work into end and or condition. So it always support only end operation. So now you can see the filter, you can add the filter and click add filter, select the columns of the filter and then type of filter and enter the value and click on the check marks. So once you click, then available filters will be there. And similarly, you can sort the columns also, column value. So what you can do, you can go to any column and you click dot, and then you can say sort by descending or sort ascending, right? So you can do the sorting also based on the columns. Now I want to hide this type request. So what you can do, just go here and hide column. Otherwise, what you can go here and you can select from hide columns and check this one here, type request, right? And then you cannot see that, right? So maybe I can hide record ID also. So you can hide from this panel also. Otherwise, you can just select from columns and then you can just hide this one, right? So you can hide the both way. Now we have shortcut for this, few of the shortcuts which supported for Mac OS, and then few of the shortcuts supported for Windows, right? So you can go through this and you can see what exactly supported, and then you can work on that. And then I showed you how to edit data tables. You can easily go and edit the records and you can edit the tables and everything. Okay. Then if you want to rename the data table, which also I showed you, just go and rename this, right? Otherwise, what you can do, go to data tables, go to particular project, go to data tables here. And then if you want to rename that, what you can do, click these 3 dot icons and then rename the data table name. I can say HR request, right? And then just rename this. So this rename also, I see delete the data table. If you want to delete a data table, you simply go and delete the data table by clicking on this data tables and then click on this ellipse and then select delete data tables. And then you can delete the data table. Then we have something called activity audit. So guys, for activity audit, you must need a permission just to see all the activities. So what you can do, you can go to your project, go to your dashboard. Here, you can go to your dashboard. The moment you go to dashboard, you will see one more tab here, this one, something like this, audit, activity audit. And then you can see all the activity which has happened on your particular data tables. So this is what all about data tables and table storage into Workato. Thank you for looking, guys. Thank you for watching this session.